Hello and welcome to the Palm Beaches TV Now. I'm your host, Theo Dorsey, and today we're celebrating African American culture in the Palm Beaches. Our friends at the Cultural Council for Palm Beach County put together an online guide to the county's Black Cultural Heritage Trail that includes some must-see stops that'll help tell the story. Our first stop takes us to the Spady Cultural Heritage Museum in Boca Raton, named after its founder, Solomon D. Spady.
Mr. Spady was a teacher, basically, but he's credited for stabilizing education here in Delray Beach for Black people, colored people, because we were colored in the 20s. By the time Mr. Spady arrived in 1922, the railroad had opened. People were coming in, families are more permanent here in Delray Beach, and therefore the children are in school. Mr. Spady set up a functional course of education that was patterned after his mentor, George Washington Carver. So he taught the reading, the writing, the math, the critical thinking, but he also taught the wood shop, the farming, the home economics. He not only taught the children, but he would assist the families with financial needs and real estate needs.
Wow.
And he was just a real educator in the community for everyone. This is a slave receipt for the sale of a Negro. You know who owned this slave? Our former city manager, David Harden. This was part of his archive, and he donated it to the Spady Museum.
Wow.
These kinds of things exist, they're real, there is documentation to prove it, and people need to know this thing. And look at the date on this. December 6th, 1855. That was not very long ago.
Not very long ago at all.
We will continue to use whatever communication vehicle we can find to get the word out that we're here, but most importantly, that Black history exists and is being preserved and is worth knowing.
Of course, and not only that, I mean, it's such an integral part of this area.
Absolutely.
Of Palm Beach County, which a lot of people don't know about.
Our mission is to preserve. Preservation is who we are, preservation and education. We're always involved in whatever it is that can share the history of our area, the history of our people, and the culture of our people.
Right.
We intend, with Mr. Spady's legacy, to continue bringing people together and making people understand how much we need each other.
The Spady Cultural Heritage Museum opens its doors for many who want to contribute to the history and community it's fostered, including promoting reading and literature.
Next up, we explore a historic church that continues to serve as a spiritual and social hub for African Americans in the Palm Beaches. We'll also visit the Storm of 1928 Memorial Park.
This is one of the oldest churches in Palm Beach County. Its roots go back to 1893 when the Payne Chapel AME Church opened its doors in an area known as the Sticks. That was the cheap temporary housing area for the African Americans building Flagler's Hotels and Railroad. The church moved west in 1925 to a new building designed by the city's only Black architect, Hazel Augustus. It was a popular spot. Right around the same time, the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church opened next door, and both churches continue to serve the community. Sometimes when you go into a church, it's just a church until the congregation shows up, right? But this one, you walk in and it has an immediate spirit. You feel an energy when you come in here. I'm going to start with the pastor. What is so special about this church for you?
One of the really unique things is this was the first site for school for African American children here in this place. And so this church has always had a feeling and a passion for education, and also for social justice, and for those kind of things that made a difference.
Dorothy, tell me the role you play in this church.
I was born in this church. Back in the days when I had to come to church 4 times a day.
That is faith on overdrive right there.
I saw the building of this church when I was a girl, when the men were on the scaffolds putting those bricks up.
That's got to be an interesting feeling coming to church every Sunday, knowing that you've been here through all of its history, right?
90 plus years.
90 plus years. Wow.
The day kids can say, I don't think I feel like going to church. That was not part of it.
choice.
When you woke up, you knew that on Sunday you were going to church. And you didn't mind it because, as I said, you got to see people that you wouldn't see all the time.
It was home,
It was
right?
always home.
This is the highest point in Palm Beach County, and so that kind of gives us a uniqueness also. Everyone knows about the house on the hill. That's
Yes.
what Tab is.
Cemeteries often hold the key to a community's rich history. Filled with dates, names, and stories, the Evergreen Cemetery is the final resting place for some of Palm Beach County's most influential black citizens for over 85 years. Some of the more notable ones are Dr. T. Leroy Jefferson, the area's first black physician, and J.W. Minkins, who was an early educator. Let's talk to Dr. Alicia Wynn and Debbie Range to tell us a little bit more about this sacred place.
This is the site of Evergreen Cemetery, African American cemetery, which was initially started October 23rd in 1913 by founders. One, the first black midwife, Mildred Gildersleeve, and many others came together, purchased at least 9 acres of land, and it is known to be Florida's first incorporated cemetery that was privately owned and operated by African Americans.
Wow.
The founders of putting this particular cemetery together, Mildred Gildersleeve, is buried here, and T. Leroy Jefferson.
He was the first black doctor, and he lived in the sticks first, and then into West Palm Beach. So he was the only black doctor to service the entire black community during that time.
Wow. So this still remains a very important sort of sacred place in the community.
We're at the corner of 25th Street and Tamarind Avenue, about a mile or two north of downtown West Palm Beach. Behind us are 700 bodies.
Behind us here?
Yes.
Wow.
This might very well be the most under-acknowledged historic site in all America. For 60 years, there was nothing. There was a field. That road back there was extended and relocated, and some of the bodies are under the street. How is that possible? Well, all of the victims were black. In the 1920s, Florida was in the Deep South.
Sure.
And that adds to the tragedy that was and is the forgotten hurricane of 1928. The fact that most people have never heard of it might be the fact that people just can't keep track of all the hurricanes. It was followed by the Depression.
Sure.
The hurricane itself killed more people than any natural disaster in the history of the United States, with the only exception being the Great Galveston, Texas hurricane. Sunday morning, September 16th, 1928, the storm is here.
It did not curve.
Did not curve.
Right.
They were floating around in 10, 12, 15 feet of water over land. Drowned 3,000 people. 674 black people were carted to this spot, and a bulldozer dug a hole, and the bodies went in.
From honoring the victims of the 1928 storm, we now turn to a landmark that celebrates Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, the largest memorial of its kind in Florida and the southern United States.
Let's meet a woman who has followed in the footsteps of her father, standing up for civil rights. Edith Bush is the strong force behind the Martin Luther King Jr. Coordinating Committee, working decade after decade to make the community a better place for all.
We've been around for 41 years.
Now talk to me about what it took to get this specific site, because this is so special.
In the year 2000, this area here was not being used. And at the time, we organized as the Martin Luther King Coordinating Committee.
Obviously, you could have just put up a statue, you could have just put up a little plaque. This is grand. Your family has a storied history in the civil rights movement.
Yes, my father was very involved in the civil rights movement. He was the president of the NAACP in Andalusia, Alabama. And he was a deacon in this church, and my mother was a missionary, and we grew up in a very close-knit Christian family. That's how I got very active in the movement.
That is incredible. What a history.
We were part of the Black Educators Association, and we were always celebrating Black History Month. But then in 1983, when Ronald Reagan organized the holiday of Dr. King, then we were able to organize events. Our organization started in 1971. Initially, there were educators But now we have doctors, lawyers, ministers, and it's very diverse. We honor a Black History Month every month, really.
Right.
During the month of January, where we have our breakfast, and we have had over 1,000 people at the breakfast at the convention center.
So this committee, starting in '71, has just grown and grown and grown. And how many people are part of this organization now?
We have approximately 60 members on our board.
Amazing.
Yes, and they are incredible. In Palm Beach County, I served on the Leadership Coalition for over 20 years. There are 87 nationalities in Palm Beach County.
Wow, that's a little nugget I didn't know. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow. I got to tell you what. I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day. Do you know why? Because you exude passion.
I love talking to you too.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Real pleasure.
All right.
Thank you very much.
The Palm Beach County Black Cultural Heritage Trail, curated by our friends at the Cultural Council, offers a powerful look at the stories, struggles, and triumphs that help shape Palm Beach County. To learn more, visit palmbeachculture.com. And be sure to watch full episodes featuring the segments you saw today at thepalmbeaches.tv. Until next time, I'm Theo Dorsey. Thank you for watching.